guys, it's Anissa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing another full face of first impressions. I hope you guys are ready to be seeing a lot of these videos because I have a lot of new makeup that I need to just get through and try for you guys. We have a mix of drugstore and high-end makeup, so it's not just one or the other. I'm actually really happy with majority of the products in today's video. If you're interested to see how I came up with today's look, then make sure to keep on watching. But before we go any further, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post on this channel every 4 days, so you never have to miss me for too long. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start with the brows. I've been so excited to try this brand because I've heard nothing but amazing things. Arches and Halos Micro Defining Brow Pencil in the color Espresso. Go in with this first and outline my brows. I did buy this yesterday, and this swatch on my hand right here, it's very faint, but you can see where I swatched the color very faintly. And I have showered between now and then 2 times and washed my hands multiple times. So that gives me hope that it's pigmented and that the color stays. Just your typical brow pencil. You have the product on one side and then a spoolie on the other. I waxed my eyebrows a couple days ago and I had a little bit of a breakout right here, which is still not gone away. So I'm hoping that that clears up here soon. That is really creamy and pigmented, and I'm barely even applying any pressure. It's just like gliding so easily. It's not tugging and it's blendable. Found out about this product is from Juicy Jazz here on YouTube. She is one of my favorites, easily top 3. And I see why she likes that so much. This is very comparable to a lot of high-end brow pencils I've tried, like the Benefit Precisely My Brow. That's what this is reminding me of because it's just so easy to use. I feel like the color is perfect. I only use a pencil to outline my brows, and then I use a pomade to fill in my sparse areas. Arches and Halos Luxury Brow Building Pomade, and this is in the color dark brown. They did have the color Espresso, but they were out, so I'm hoping that I can make dark brown work. If anything, I would rather go lighter in color than darker in color because I found when you go darker in color, brows don't look as natural. They look a little bit more harsh, and I think that I can make this color work. And if I like it, the next time I buy it, I will get the Espresso color. The only place that I have been able to find this product is CVS and Target. Oh my gosh, that is really creamy. Kind of overdid my arch over here, but we can clean that up. And I usually leave the front of my brow alone. Okay, yeah, I like that too. Packaging on this is nice. It's a glass jar. Side by side, you can definitely tell that the dark brown is lighter than the Espresso, clearly. I mean, they're 2 different colors. So this is the Espresso color for the pencil, and this is dark brown for the pomade. Really liked both of those products. I think I did do my arch a little bit too high up over here, but I can clean that up with foundation. 10 out of 10 for both of those. I feel like I haven't tried a new pot concealer in ages, and I finally have one to try. Too Faced Peach Concealer Matte Instant Coverage Concealer, Nutmeg. So I'll go ahead and open it up for you guys. It's not a perfect color, but I thought that it was what would work best for me. And I'm really not super particular about color when it comes to underneath the brow. If anything, I think it kind of looks a little bit highlighted when it's a little bit lighter. I'm just taking my favorite brush to carve out my brows, this e.l.f. concealer brush, and dipping into the product. Definitely has full coverage. That color is actually perfect. Okay, I'm gonna blend this out. And I only use the pot concealer underneath my brows. I used whatever foundation I'm using on top. I'm not gonna lie, that was actually really full coverage and really creamy. And it does have a semi-matte finish, which is also nice. I mean, I really don't mind either way. Not gonna lie, this has just as good of coverage first impressions as the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. And that is my favorite because it's the most full coverage thing that I found for underneath the brows that isn't thick and isn't cakey and isn't super heavy. I actually had to like scroll deep down in the Sephora archives to find this product. So let me know if you guys have tried this before because first impressions, I really like that. I did not have a new eye primer, so I went ahead and used this Makeup Revolution Prime and Lock eyeshadow primer. I haven't used this in a while, so I figured we would pull it out the drawer. We do have a new eyeshadow palette and new eyeliner, but we gotta do shadow before we do liner. I am so excited to try this palette. Too Faced Born This Way 2 Natural Nudes complexion inspired eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like. Just just gonna show you guys. So gorgeous. Has a beautiful mirror. I love the layout of these shades in here. It's super unique. Usually your pan sizes are all the same, and I love how each shade comes in matte and shimmer. We're gonna start plain Jane. I'm just gonna use the color Cocoa and Maple and mix those two together and put those in my crease as my transition shade. Hands down, the Too Faced complexion line is one of my favorites of all time. I feel like across the board, it's very consistent. I have so many foundations that are favorites, but I don't like the concealer that they go with, or I don't like the powder that's in that line. The Too Faced Born This Way foundation and concealer are actually easily both in my top 3 for those categories. And the pressed powder is also in my top 3. The loose powder is good. The pigment on these is actually really good, and they're seeming to blend out very nicely. But I love how this is like complexion inspired, because I mean, what could be more nude than complexion inspired? And the colors seem to be building up as well, so I'm just building this color up. And I have never tried any eyeshadow from Too Faced except for that little palette that I got rid of in my full face of makeup that I'm getting rid of, only because I just was not in love with the color scheme, and I felt like I could give it to somebody who would use it more than I was. Just me looking at the palette, I wish that they would have taken some of these pinks out, put like maybe a black in here or something a little bit darker, because I mean, really, these colors are like the darker colors, not even this. Really see myself using these mattes. I knew that when I bought it, but the reason that I liked it is because I loved these shimmers that went along with those lighter colors. If it would have just been mattes, I probably wouldn't have bought it. Just gonna take a clean brush and make sure that we don't have any harsh lines. And I think I actually wanna do a pink and brown type of like Neapolitan ice cream moment. It's not right to make me choose between these pink shimmers and these cold shimmers. Taking a small dense packing brush, I am going to go in with this color on the very end, Truffle, and I'm just going to pack that in my outer corner to add some dimension. Okay, wow, pigmented. I almost want to take back what I said about them adding a black in there, because I really did not think that that brown was going to be that super dark. Do you guys see how pigmented that is? I mean, a good black eyeshadow never hurt anybody. What I struggle with a lot of the times with nude eyeshadow palettes is I will love the color scheme that they have, but I feel like they don't put enough dark colors in there for people who are darker. You know, the transition colors that lighter people use are not the same transition colors that people my skin tone would use, and that blended out really easily. Wow. I mean, I don't mind having to blend a little bit extra, but I'm not really having to with these colors. And I'm just going in circular motions, just blowing the color out. First, I want to take Sparkling Sable and Sugared Chestnut, and I'm going to mix these two together and put those on all over my lid first, and then we'll go in with a pink. So I'm just mixing the two colors together on my finger. That is gorgeous. Okay, now on one eye, I'm gonna use a brush with some setting spray just so we can see if there's a huge difference. I found if you use setting spray and a brush, it makes the shadow look a little bit more wet. There's really not much difference. Sometimes you can tell a huge difference, but with these, I really feel like either option gives you a good result. I love true golds like this, but like brown golds and bronzy golds give a whole new smoke. To top that off, I am gonna go in with Sparkling Rum and Rose Gold. And I'm gonna use a finger again on one eye and a brush on the other. I feel like the combo of pink and brown is so slept on. I do want to say these aren't super like in your face, oh my gosh, super poppy, metallic, bright. They're just very shimmery and pretty. This reminds me actually a lot of the shimmers, not the colors, but the shimmer that it's giving reminds me a lot of the Jaclyn Hill Divine Neutrals palette. Very soft and pretty. Oh, okay, for those, my brush is not wanting to pick these pinks up. Well, I'm gonna go in with my finger. Oh, wow. All the matte formulas are usually pretty similar in a palette, and then all the shimmer formulas are usually pretty similar, but maybe it's because these two colors that I use look like they have a little bit more chunk to them versus these are more pure shimmer colors. They don't have any real big particles in them versus these do. Quickly popped on some of my e.l.f. Line and Define eye tapes that I love. I do have a new eyeliner pen today. I am super excited to try this because I had never seen this before in the drugstore. This is the Neutrogena Precision Liquid Eyeliner. This is in the color Jet Black. It is a pen. I have found that I prefer a pen liner because it's a lot easier with my lash extensions. It's just a lot less messy than a wand is. And I actually found this at CVS. I have not seen this anywhere else. I always start with my wing first and then I draw my line on my eyelid. I'm having a really hard time getting a super crisp point because it's more of a brush tip and not a felt tip. I do not bring my wing all the way in. Pretty much stops at the color part of my eye. I found that if I bring it too much in, it kind of closes my eye off. Personally, I think that's just for my eye shape, especially since my eyes are hooded and they're smaller. I think I just had to get used to the brush tip on this because I've used liners with brush tips before, but the applicator on this one is a little bit bigger than the other one. The Maybelline Hyper Easy actually has more of a brush tip, but it's super, super tiny. Okay, well, I definitely had a lot of a better time on this eye than I did over here. And over here, that showed up super, super black. So I don't know if maybe I just had to break the brush tip in or what. I would give this like an 8 out of 10 just because I feel like I did have to maneuver with it a little bit, which is fine. But I know that if you're somebody who's a beginner, the last thing you want to be doing is trying 50 million different things. Like, you just want it to work. It is time to move on to complexion. Use some primer mist. This is the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Set Refresh Spray. This isn't new. I have 2 new primers today. As always, I like to use a moisturizing primer and then a more pore filling / mattifying primer. And I always like to go in with my hydrating primer first because I feel like it makes my mattifying / pore filling primer glide onto the skin a little bit easier. I am really excited to try this because I've heard so many good things about this. This is the SMASHBOX Photo Finish Primerizer, and it is supposed to be a primer and moisturizer in one. So this is the mini size of it. I actually got this in a really good gift set that I found in Ulta last year. It was like a whole bunch of the mini Smashbox primers that you can try. The Smashbox primers are a little bit more pricey. Ooh, this feels so amazing on the skin. It's like a more thin texture, so it's not super thick, which is what I was kind of worried about when I saw that it was a white lotion type of color. I was like, oh, I really don't like lotions. I prefer more gel stuff. It gave a really nice tack to the skin. I really, really like this so far. I want to see how other products go on top of it. For my pore filling primer, I'm going to be using the Benefit the POREFESSIONAL Matte Rescue. So this isn't the original POREFESSIONAL, and I absolutely love the Benefit POREFESSIONal. I actually have 2 of them in my drawer. This is supposed to be an invisible finish mattifying gel. So it's more of a gel texture, which just told you guys I do like anything that says gel on it. For my mattifying / pore filling primers, I really only put them in my T-zone because my cheeks are not very oily. They're pretty normal. I honestly have never tried a primer that claims to be mattifying and is a gel formula. So this actually also feels very cooling on the skin. And I like stuff that feels like that. Primers that feel cooling and refreshing on your face. It just makes you feel like you're ready to conquer the makeup that you're about to put on. And it did mattify. Okay. I have also been tending to lean more towards drugstore primers because I have found that a lot of drugstore primers do the same thing as a lot of high-end primers. But I can honestly say that I have never tried drugstore primers that are even similar to either one of these. Now it is time for foundation, and we are going to be using the infamous Tarte Amazonian 16-hour full coverage foundation, and I got the color 54 Deep Golden. On this channel, when we try new foundations, we always do half brush, half sponge. I have been so excited to try this because I remember back in the day hearing everybody and their mother talking about how amazing this foundation was, but everybody would also say that it was really, really thick. I don't know why that turned me off of it because the Juvia's Place foundation I really like, and it's on the thicker side, so I don't know, I was just being biased. They just reformulated this. She is definitely full coverage. You can still see the texture, but all of the coloration on my face. I don't ever expect for a foundation to get rid of my texture. I just expect it to not make it look worse. Color match is actually pretty good as well. This does claim to have a semi-matte matte finish, and I didn't even have to use a whole lot. I found too with foundation, less is more, kind of building up, not going in with a whole lot of product at first because it's a lot easier to add foundation than it is to take away foundation. I use a powder foundation and a liquid foundation. If everything isn't covered by the liquid foundation, it's not that big of a deal. Don't mind my under eyes because I really don't put a whole lot of foundation underneath my eyes because I use a good amount of concealer. I kind of like the brush side better because I feel like it looks a little bit more skin-like. I feel like I didn't use the same amount, but most of the time you really don't have to use the same amount as a brush compared to a sponge. You can usually get away with using a little bit less with a brush because the sponge is going to soak up some of your product. Like, it's a sponge, that's a given. I like the finish and the look of a sponge more than a brush sometimes. Not looking cakey or anything. Zoom you guys in and let you see what it looks like up close. I feel like I like the brush side a little bit more. The sponge side is feeling a little bit more heavy, but that could be because I used a little bit more product over here. Also really like this. Now it is time for concealer. NYX Bare With Me Concealer Serum. This is brand spanking new. I haven't even seen anybody review this right off the bat. Not really the biggest fan of the pumps. I prefer my concealers to have a doe foot applicator because then you can just go ahead and put it right underneath the eye. Go ahead and put it on a plate, apply it with a small brush and then blend it out. Now I've heard that this is a more medium coverage. I will tell you guys most of the time I really don't like medium coverage concealers because I like for my under eyes to be super concealed. I like them to be very brightened. I also heard that this is buildable. So I'm gonna try to build it up, and if I can't build it up, then she's gonna have to go. And that's just a preference thing. That doesn't mean it's bad. I will do one eye brush, one eye sponge. Actually has decent coverage. I can still see the blue undertones peeking through just a little bit, but that actually looks really pretty on the skin. I mean, you can definitely tell a difference between this eye and this eye. And up close, it looks very, very skin-like. I'm gonna go ahead and do this eye first and then go back and build up this eye. I don't know if it's supposed to dry down. Just gonna let it sit for a second while I do this eye over here. I feel like it's always quicker to use a sponge, but I feel like I get a little bit more coverage with a brush, but we'll see it side by side. Okay, I'm a little scared, just a little. Let me show you guys. So it's looking a little weird underneath. Ooh, okay. Over here, not so much. Let me try to go over a sponge and see if this is hanging on so weird. I don't even know if I want to build this up. I'm gonna build it up because I want to see if it has full coverage. When you're building product up, you don't have to use as much as you did on the first layer. You're building, not doubling. From the first layer, it looked good from far away, but with this second layer, it looks weird from far away. I hate when the concealer doesn't work because it's not fair to judge the powder then. Honestly, not a huge fan. I'm gonna take my e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush like I always do. Sometimes this will do the trick if something's hanging on weird. And I do this because I am somebody that has a lot of little fine lines underneath my eyes. I'm not gonna set underneath my eyes just yet because I am going to do cream bronzer and cream blush. NARS Sun-Kissed Bronzing Cream, and this is in the color Casino. I was looking at the color earlier and I don't know if it's gonna be too light or if it'll be the perfect color. I don't know. The first time I use a product, I just go on the back of my hand because you never know how pigmented it's gonna be, just to get some of the extra off. That's actually a good color. Didn't really blend out the greatest. I'm worried about this side. I feel like it almost kind of took the makeup off from underneath. First impressions, I'm not like super wowed. The color is okay, but I had a really hard time blending this out. It has good pigment, but the blendability is a little bit questionable. Do have a new cream blush. This is the Melt Cosmetics Cream Blushlight in the color Honey Thief. This is what the color looks like. I honestly do not have anything that is this color. It's a like very, very bright poppy pink. The true color isn't really even like popping up on camera. Oh, there we go. This is always my fear because it's like on the verge of being really light. It's either really light or just like kind of chalky looking. The color's showing up, but I don't know if it's like my favorite thing on me. Kind of pulled the makeup off from underneath. What is happening? Kind of looks a little bit patchy on this part of my cheek. It's so light that when I go in with a sponge, it's like nothing was there. I don't want to blame it on this though, because maybe it's just the color selection. Maybe I'm just a little bit too dark and I'm in denial of that. Like I've tried so many colors like this and I'm like, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. The only light pink blush that I've tried that I actually really, really like is the Patrick Ta powder blush. So that's why I feel like I kind of compare everything to that and I'm like, well, this looks pretty on me and it's light, so maybe it's not the fact that I'm too dark. One of my biggest pet peeves, I hate when products pull off my makeup. That's not what you came to do. That was not your assignment. I'm just gonna go in again one more time before I set underneath the eyes. I'm excited to try this translucent powder. This is the Sephora translucent setting powder in the color translucent. Everything that I have tried from the Sephora collection, I have really, really liked. From far away, my under eye actually looks a little bit better than it did a second ago. All right, guys, sorry, I went ahead and went to dinner, so we had to put the video on pause, but we're back. Before we do powder foundation, I wanna go ahead and carve out the top of my brows quickly. This bronzer is so patchy. Sometimes I get irritated if I have to stop filming and then come back to filming because I just like to get it all over with, but it's kind of helpful in cases like this. But I do want to say that it's been about 3 hours since I started filming and I haven't set my face, and the foundation is doing good on its own. Even when I wear matte foundations, I still do powder foundation. I don't know what it is about cleaning up my brows, but when I clean them up, I just feel like I look 20 times better. Now it is time for powder foundation. I am gonna go ahead and use this Pure 4-in-1 Pressed Mineral Makeup, and this is in the color Golden Dark DG3. I have heard amazing things about the liquid foundation from this line, but I can't find a color that I think I can even make work. I was really sad about that, but then I saw this powder foundation and I was like, oh, I think I can make that color work. Specifically with powder foundation, it usually will look a little bit different on your face than it does in the pan. And I found usually that it actually looks a little bit darker on your face than it does in the pan. And the true test is always the forehead. Ooh, that did a good job at mattifying though. Always go in with a smaller brush to go around my brows, just to make sure the top of those are set too, because it's kind of hard to get right around them with a big powder brush. I'm actually really excited to try this blush because I feel incomplete without anything on my cheeks. Black Radiance Artisan Color Baked Blush, and this is in the color Brick House. I have tried this color, which is Warm Berry, and I really, really like it. It gives you the prettiest glow to the skin. It doesn't have a sparkle or shimmer in it, but it's just really glowy and pretty. This color is just a little bit darker than this one. In the blush category, I have had a harder time finding blushes in the drugstore that are color girl friendly. So when I do find ones that are color girl friendly, I'm here for it. And if I remember, that other one was pretty pigmented and this one looks like it's gonna be. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, I used way too much. I literally, before I put it on my face, was like, yeah, that's gonna be really pigmented. I'm looking crazy, but it's not the product's fault. We're gonna deal with this cheek in a second. Let me just lightly put some color. Okay, like even that. Do you see the difference here? I guess we're just gonna have to blush it up today because I don't think that this is going anywhere. I'm just gonna show you guys this side of my face for the rest of the time. Now we're gonna go in with highlighter, and guys, this is so freaking overdue, it's not even funny. This is the OFRA Cosmetics Mini Highlighter in the color Rodeo Drive. Aside from Becca, I feel like OFRA has really, really good highlighters. Highlighters I've tried from OFRA Cosmetics was the Nikkie Tutorials Trio, and I really, really liked that. I love the fact that some of these higher end brands are coming out with minis of stuff because A, it makes it a little bit more affordable to try the product before you completely commit to a really big size of it. And B, you're able to test the product and not have that commitment to where it's like, oh, if I don't like this 2-ounce bottle of foundation and I'm out of the time frame to return it, you're not losing as much money. Before we finish the eyes, I'm gonna go ahead and use some setting spray, and we are making history on this channel because I'm using my very first hydrating setting spray. NEUTROGENA Hydrating Setting Spray from the Hydro Boost line. The Hydro Boost line is one of the only affordable skincare lines that I will use. I have the makeup wipe sitting up here. And I love the signature scent that the Hydro Boost line has. It refreshes my soul. I knew that I was using a matte foundation, so I was like, we can have a little bit of a hydrating moment going on. I feel like I haven't used a hydrating setting spray up until now because when I think of hydrating, I'm like, it's just gonna make me look super glowy, and I have oily skin. So I like to use natural products, but I also can't not set my face because my skin is oily. Finish underneath the eyes. For my eye pencil, this is a MAC eye kohl, and this is in the color Teddy. Look at this color. It's like brown but metallic-y. I'm excited to use this. I feel like I could even use this as eyeliner, and it was pretty creamy. Usually I prefer a roll-up eye pencil because I found they're a little bit creamier, but I wanted to try the one from MAC because I've never tried it. And I love the fact too that it's a little bit smaller, so I can really just tight line with it. That's the one downfall I have found with more creamy gel eyeliners is that you can't really tight line. It always almost automatically goes down because it's so creamy. I just feel like tight lining brings out the white in your eyes and makes your eyes look a little bit bigger. I'm gonna go ahead and use this really pretty color right here. This is Shimmering Pearl, and I'm gonna put that in my inner corner. Just gonna go ahead and finish up the eyes because we're already here. I actually picked this up at TJ Maxx and I was surprised to see it. This is the Milk Makeup KUSH Waterproof Mascara. I love this like cobalt blue packaging. Somebody wants to make an appearance, so say hi. Say hi to the viewers. Kitty break, hold on. Let's see if she's living up to her appearance. I will say, I feel like that did a good job of giving me some length, but also at separating. And I was kind of worried when I pulled it out of the bottle initially because the wand is a little bit bigger. The formula is not too dry. It's not too liquidy. This is what one coat looks like. I'm just gonna go ahead and see if I could build it up to 2 coats if I wanted to. I'm really not super picky with mascara. As long as it lengthens and separates and isn't clumpy, we can get along. Finish with the lips. So I do have 2 new lip products here, and I have tried both of these products actually. They're just in different colors. NYX Slide On Glide On Waterproof Lip Pencil. This is in the color Beyond Nude. I have tried another color in this and I really like this formula. NYX has a couple different lip pencil formulas. This is the one that has the packaging that's a little bit more shiny. I'm really not a super huge fan of the just traditional lip pencils because they are a little bit drier versus I found that these ones are really smooth. What I'm going to put in the center is this Flower Beauty Scribble Stick, and this is in the color 20 Marvelous. I have tried another color in this, and the first time I tried it, I hated it because it had like a kind of cast on it and it was so hard to use on the lips. And then I actually went ahead and put it in a full face of makeup I'm getting rid of, and it was so creamy when I used it. Just for kicks and giggles, I went ahead and topped it off with this NYX Butter Gloss, and this is in the color Ginger Snap. This is not new, but just add a little bit of shine. This is the completed look. I just want to go ahead and quickly go through everything and kind of talk about my highlights, and then products that I didn't like, I guess, and then everything else was just in between and okay. I was very impressed with both of the brow products. I thought that these were both very pigmented, very easy to work with, and especially for the brow pencil. Rarely do I find a drugstore brow pencil that is pigmented and blendable. Usually it's just one or the other, and this has both of those qualities, and it has a really good shade range. Both of these do. I really loved both of the primers. I feel like both of these formulas are very unique, and I haven't found anything that the drugstore offers that is similar to these two, so I'm very excited to use these together. Sometimes it is really risky to use combinations of primers when you're trying new stuff. I also really liked this Amazonian Clay Foundation. I thought that it had really good coverage, and I felt like I honestly could have used a little bit more if I wanted to. I knew that I was going to be putting a powder foundation on top of it, so I was like, whatever, but the formula honestly is really not that thick. This does remind me a lot of the Juvia's Place foundation, but this one is a little bit thinner in formula, and you get so much product. This Too Faced Pot Concealer is honestly probably one of my top 3 for this video. I just felt like it was very pigmented, very creamy, and also had good coverage, and I like the finish of it. It was very easy to blend out too, which I appreciate, and I also feel like the color was perfect for what I wanted. I also really liked the mascara and this kohl pencil. I felt like it was very creamy considering that it's a pencil formula, and then this did a very good job of separating and lengthening. As you guys saw, a little goes a long way with this blush. Very pigmented, does give a nice glow to the skin. I'm somebody that does not like shimmer or glitter in my blush, but I can do a matte blush or something that is kind of glowy, and this just kind of makes you look like you have a glow from within that's a natural flush of color, because it's just, when it hits the light, it's beautiful. Especially if you're a girl of color, I definitely think that you should give these a try. I'm very familiar with the formulas on both of these lip products. I've tried other colors and did not fail to disappoint in another shade. This isn't necessarily a favorite, but I wanted to go ahead and just briefly mention that I feel like this is very similar to the Morphe x Jaclyn Hill Divine Neutrals palette. I found that there was shimmery colors like this, and then there was more glittery colors. The shimmery colors reminded me a lot of the formula of the Jaclyn Hill x Morphe Divine Neutrals, because they are a nice shimmery color that when you hit the light, you can see that you have something on your lids, but it's not super glitter heavy, which is totally a preference thing. I like stuff that has glitter in it. Like these shades right here I think are gorgeous on the lid, especially as a topper. Also was a big fan of the Neutrogena Hydro Boost setting spray. I thought it did a really nice job of bringing a little bit of life back into the face. 3 products that I was not so impressed with. This NYX Bare With Me Concealer Serum, I just feel like it's holding on to certain parts of my eyes weird. I tried it with a brush, I tried it with a sponge. What I love about concealer, particularly the way I use it, is I don't put foundation underneath my eyes. So if something's going on weird, it's the concealer. You know, sometimes it's kind of harder when you are working with powder foundation and all these layers, because you have layers on top of layers. So it's sometimes hard to figure out what is being weird versus this. I think it's this. I'm gonna try it again and give it another shot and use it with a setting powder that I love. I built it up. It was visibly from far away getting worse. I just really wasn't impressed with this Melt Cosmetics cream blush. I don't know if it's the color. And then lastly, this NARS cream bronzer. I had really high hopes for this, and I felt like when I was blending it out, it literally did nothing. And then when I came back from my break from eating, it was kind of really patchy, and I hadn't put powder foundation on yet, so I knew that it was that cream bronzer. Try it with a couple different things, and if I don't like it, then I don't like it. We have reached the end of today's video. I hope that you enjoyed. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post on this channel every 4 days, so you never have to miss me for too long. If you do like to binge watch, I have a full big, nice, long playlist of full face of first impressions, 1 brand tutorials, testing new makeup. I will link that right up here for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.